Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today we're going to start this collaboration with Noblefrugal Studios. A link to his channel will be supplied in the video description of this video. He's got a good number of tutorials on OpenTunes and has been going at this for longer than I have. He's covered a few topics that I have yet to cover and has generally done a pretty good job at informing the community on how to use the program. So I'd suggest people go take a look at his channel. I'll be going at this background for a few weeks, so this collaboration will be going on for a little while. The video that you're watching right here on the screen right now is at 30 times speed, so I wanted to make it so that this video wouldn't take up too much of your time, so this is going really fast here. This is a number of hours worth of work. The idea is that I'll be making a background for him, and he'll be able to take it and animate on top of it. And he picked out this old 1800s style of architecture that we both like and all, but it does mean that it's well, it's slowed me down and gotten me to spend quite a bit of time working on this background. He wanted this to be a 4-point cylindrical perspective image, and at the very beginning of this video you can see that on the upper left of the canvas I have some reference image that he wanted me to work with. Now, of course, the image size for the reference is rather small and it's really hard to make out the details, and since it's a raster image, scaling it up doesn't improve the resolution at all. So some of the details I've had to either make a hybrid of what I think I see on the reference image, or just kind of work with whatever I think will work on the piece. Now, I've constructed a grid so that it'll be easier for Noblefrugal to animate the character or characters into the scene. I don't know exactly what he has in mind for this background, but I've also done some stuff in the construction of the grid that I've never done before. First of all the measuring that I've done with the vanishing points were done with pixels. So instead of working with inches, I'm doing it by pixels. Because every time that I reach my 5th vanishing point, I've always been slightly off measurement. And I anticipated this so that when I'd be slightly off measurement with the last vanishing point, it was just a few pixels off and not more. I also made sure that my horizon line and my vanishing points were on their own layer, their own dedicated layer. I locked them, and then I made a separate dedicated layer just for the grid itself, without the horizon line and vanishing points being assigned to that layer. I then put them into a group, then started creating the grid. Once I drew out one segment of the grid, I selected what I had drawn for the grid, copied and pasted it, and then moved it on over to where I needed it to be. I actually repeated this process for each and every section of the grid. I found that this was so much faster than the 100% manual process that I've gone and done in the past. The one thing that I did in order to make the blue portions of the grid is I copied the red stuff, the red portion of the grid, pasted it, moved it to where I needed, pressed Control U and moved the top hue slider until I found a nice blue color. Then I tinkered with the saturation and lightness sliders in order to darken it up a bit. Then I just copied and pasted the blue portions and moved them where I needed them to be, and then boom, done. I was done making the grid, really super fast. I also made sure that I saved the assistant being used here, and I've actually opened multiple copies of this assistant, and ultimately, what I've found is that all you really need in order to make a 4-point cylindrical perspective image is 3 fisheye perspective assistants, and 1 vertical parallel ruler assistant. One thing that Noblefrugal wants for this background is something similar to what I have in my channel intro series, where you look from left to right at this street or inside of a hallway or something, and you're able to pan the camera across the street or whatever from one vanishing point to another, and give the audience the feeling of a camera swivel. That's what he wants. And the first building that I made took me about 2 days worth of work to actually complete, simply because I picked the most difficult building to work with first. I started out by just basically making a basic rectangular cube and adjusting the thickness of the road a little. I got rather picky with getting this image done right because this is the first collaboration that I'm doing that will get finished first. If you're not going to do your best work, then don't do it at all. I also selected the building from the reference image, copied, pasted it, and then transformed it into the position that I needed it to be in perspective. But since this is a fisheye perspective image, it didn't have any of the curvatures of the fisheye perspective. I would suggest that you stay away from using the warp function of the transform tool because the results are oftentimes less than stellar when you do that. It's okay that it's not perfect. It's just a reference. This building has a lot of detail to it, and I needed to simplify its shape quite a bit, and I did this with just working with blocky, square, rectangular shapes, and gradually working towards making the building more and more fleshed out from there. The first real stumbling block of this image was the realization that there is a porch to this building. Then I had to figure out the shape of this porch. Then I needed to figure out how the staircase ties into the porch, and I actually went through several failed attempts at making this porch and even the staircase. But why would I have a 45-minute failure after failure posted up here on YouTube showing you guys how I fail? I'm already increasing the speed of this video to 30 times the speed that I was actually working, so it just seems like it would just be a waste of your time to watch me just fail and fail and fail. I've already said that it's pretty common in the sketching phase to draw something, erase it, and do it again, start over, erase it, do it again. You don't need to see every failure I do. However, in this video, you'll see some of the beginning of me struggling with the porch and erasing the staircase and starting again. You'll see a little bit of that. Now, the assistant tool will only draw a line until you've drawn it up to a specific length from the starting point. So throughout this video, you'll see me draw lines that are a little too long, and then you'll see me pull out the eraser, adjust it, and then continue drawing. It is annoying even for me to draw it that way, but it's just one of the creative constraints that you have when drawing with Krita, and you just have to kind of live with it. It's just something that has to do with how the assistant tool works. One thing that I find helps me quickly transition from having the assistant turned on and going towards using the eraser and then quickly switching back to the brush and activating the assistant is pressing the slash key like I explained in my Krita tips and tricks video, and then press Ctrl-Shift-L, erasing what I need to erase, and then pressing Ctrl-Shift-L slash, and then once again continuing to draw. And for those of you that don't know, pressing Ctrl-Shift-L turns the assistant on and off for your brush. It makes it so that your brush will or will not follow the assistant. Even though on the screen you're seeing something completely different, you can actually rewind back and just remember what I'm saying here. To make the stairs, notice how I make a bunch of vertical and horizontal lines, kind of making a grid. Both consist of the same number of lines. I struggled with this, and so make sure that the vertical and horizontal lines on the grid have the same number of lines. I'm serious about that. I made sure that all my horizontal lines were on their own layer, and all my vertical lines were on a separate layer as well. And basically having these vertical and horizontal lines placed in perspective told me exactly where each stair on the staircase needed to be all the way up. I do kind of feel like I do need to apologize that this video isn't about open tunes. For the longest time you guys have been seeing me just drawing things in Krita and teaching you guys how to do perspective work, and I'm sure you're all just kind of foaming at the mouth trying to learn more about open tunes, and I'll see what I can do throughout the weekend to provide you guys with a tutorial on that, but it's difficult for me to actually provide any promises where that's regarded. Hopefully I can find time to do that this weekend. I can only promise one video released every week, and that's on a Friday. But beyond that, sometimes it's just not in my control. But I do try to make sure that I release 2-3 videos every weekend at least. With the content that you see on the screen right here, right now, I feel like I've reached this pivotal point where things are really starting to come together with this building. Just it's starting to really look really nice, at least to my eye, my biased eyes as the person who's actually drawing it. But it looks good to me. It really does. There's a little bit more to the video. This pretty much concludes my narration of the video, but there is more, and I think you guys would like to watch the rest. Feel free to continue watching, enjoy the music, and yeah. Well, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways. Seriously, have a great day.